My name is Manav Jethani, and I'm the host of Simply Being Podcast Season 3. And today with us, we have a very special guest. His name is Rishav Kumar. He has been working in some of the new companies that have emerged recently, such as Polestar and Canoo, as well as he has a very, I would say, interesting story to how he emerged as a designer, coming from a country that have recently understood the factor of how important design is in terms of product delivery as well as customer relationship. So, without further ado, please welcome Rishabh Kumar.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. It's always nice to talk about these things that no one really asks, and
Perfect.
yeah, yeah, thanks a lot.
All right. So, before we start talking about some things, why don't you take a time to introduce yourself?
Sure. Um, my name is Rishav Kumar. That's my full name. I don't have any middle name, and I was born in Bihar, but brought up in Odisha, which is a eastern coastal state in India, and both my parents are my dad is an engineer, my mom is a teacher. So growing up, obviously it was a tough call for me to make them understand that I want to do design, which is, I think, mostly what Indian students go through, like convincing their parents is the first stage. And uh, my mom wanted me to be uh, get into IITs and stuff, but that was not my forte. But yeah, eventually I gave entrance exam for DSK, which was a design college in Pune, and fortunately I got into the institute. And even till I was in third year, my mom used to force me to change stream into engineering because she always had this doubt, like what kind of job would you do, like for an outsider it's hard to believe that every 2 3 years a car comes out. So they're like, what do you do for these 2 3 years if you're a designer? So they don't understand the process. They don't know what goes into design and how much time it takes. They think like you just sketch, it comes out on the computer, you just make it into a car. But that's not how it works. So uh, first time when I got an opportunity to go outside of India was when I was in third year. I got an opportunity from Honda, which in which they do like a 10-day workshop with 10 selected students from Asia. And from these 10, we were like five Indian students who got selected. And three of them were from my institute, from DSK, and two were from NIT. So you must know Swapnil, who got the poster
Hmm.
design contest. He was also there, and some other seniors were there, and we had a great 10 days. And after these few validations, my parents realized that I have a talent, I have a scope to go outside, and I can do something in this field. So after my third year, in fourth year, I got an opportunity to intern at Volkswagen in Germany, where I interned for 6 months, uh, and then after that, for my fifth year internship, I did my internship at Volvo. And during my internship, uh, Polestar was just emerging, and they were still sharing design team with Volvo, and it was the same people doing both the projects. So whenever I used to do a Volvo project, they would be like, this looks like Polestar. You should be in Polestar." So when I was lucky enough to be at the time when they were making a Polestar focused design team, like the founding team of Polestar. And that's how I got my first job, which was at Polestar as an exterior designer. And I got to be part of projects like Precept, uh, Polestar O2, the Roadster concept. That I was responsible for the exterior to help Maxine with the exterior and also the design of the drone, how it works, and stuff like that. And after that, uh, my idea was to shift to US because my wife is here, and we were like, she's also a designer. She's a animation designer. She's an artist. So her industry is more in US, LA, California area, like Disney, DreamWorks, and these companies. And for me, I also have opportunities in US, so I just applied in Canoo, and uh, I was fortunate enough to get the job in a few weeks and just shift here. So the journey has been quite not that simple, but it's pretty straightforward, step by
Yeah,
step
it
every
sounds
year.
like that.
Yeah,
I think you're a pretty good area geopolitically as well because
yeah,
you started with Honda, that's in Japan.
yeah,
Then you went to Europe with Volvo and Polestar, and now you're at
mm,
Canoo in America. So
yeah,
you have different scope of how different the design are for the same type of product.
yes, yeah, yeah, definitely. I was actually in Honda, Thailand, which is in Bangkok.
Hmm.
So their work culture is so different than here. Like they have a uniform, they are on time. Their projects are very uh, how do you say, very organized compared to a startup in California,
Yeah, I would
where
think so.
things are so rapid over here. So yeah, it's awesome to have the experience of European as well, where everything is relaxed compared to
Yeah,
everyone. Their weekend time is the most important time.
yeah,
So
that's true.
that was great. Yeah, it was great to see this diversity.
Perfect. So you mentioned that you started with Honda, and it was
Mm.
more of a competition
Yeah.
in which you got selected as the final batch.
Mm.
So what I want to know is how a competition like that, even right now, we see brands like Polestar are doing design competition. They have one
Mm.
right now.
Yeah.
So how does that boost students' ability to get a good job or a better job?
I would like my own. I got my Volvo internship through Niwwrd. I don't know if you know about this competition.
No.
It used to happen till 2019, where
Okay.
it was like a joint venture between Volvo, BMW, Mercedes, all these European brands, and whoever came first or second or third, they would get internships in these companies. They would bid and they would get internships. That's how I got my Volvo internship.
Hmm.
So uh, if the competitions are done in the right way, like Poster does, like where they reward the winners in a way, like making their scale model, making their videos, interviewing them, like everyone in the industry now knows them. So
Yeah.
whenever they send their portfolio, they're like instantly recognized, like, okay, I know this guy, he's really good. So like instead of giving just a side cap or just some goodies from the company, I think if the companies continue doing something like what Poster is doing, it really boosts the others who didn't get selected, who didn't get the chance to participate the next time. Because even right now for the next competition, so many people are want to participate in this one because they saw the two winners last time and they
Yeah.
got so encouraged by that. I mean, not every company has a budget to make a scale model for a contest, but even if they give a small opportunity like an internship or an interview or some kind of exposure, for sure it helps.
And talking about that, when you mentioned about the budget, I think that Polestar, even though it's a very young company or a
Mm.
startup of some kind, they had the guts to do something that traditional companies won't do.
Yeah,
If you
for
see
sure.
brands like Ford or BMW or Jaguar or something like that, who have a
Yeah,
bigger budget to work on, they
yeah.
won't make a full scale model at best. What they will do is just a
Um,
1 month internship or something
I
like
don't
that.
know if you remember, Renault used to do these competitions in India,
Yes.
and like they also made a one-to-one scale model of the winner, and for the others they made a small model, and
Yeah.
they had shown it in the Indian Delhi Expo. So I think
Yeah.
that was something that also inspired Polestar. So they knew that uh, these things make you popular within the fresh community, and
Mhm.
you attract new talents. So it's like a balance for the company and the students both. So it's not like a one way street, of course, because
Yeah.
in the
That's
end, the company is a company; it needs to make money. So
yeah. That's
yeah,
very true. And when we look at the current industry, we have seen like a huge increase in the number of applicants as well as the number of students who become designer every year.
Yeah.
And we have also seen, even if we do competitions like that, thousands of apply, but only I think two or three get selected for the final,
Hmm.
and they end up getting a job or an internship.
Yeah.
So apart from, let's say, if those who did not apply for competitions like this for some or other reason, what do you think they should do in their portfolio, which is
Hmm.
like their main key when they graduate? What do you think chief designers or companies who send people to hire them during college day or career day or something like that,
Hmm.
what should they look for? Like something like consistency in all project, or a growth and improvement, something like that?
Um, I had a Chai Pe Charcha session recently with Arthur Martins
Hmm.
and Rodrigo, and many students had their 0 to 100 portfolio, where they show
Okay.
their basic first project to their final project. And the most consistent feedback from these guys was that don't show your failure projects, show your strongest projects, because that's
Okay.
what is going to attract the the person who is hiring you, because
Hmm.
they don't really care about where you came from or what has been your journey. It's nice to
Yeah.
have one page of it, maybe just to show that you
Yeah.
started from this area but now you're here. But they want to see quality on each and every page of your portfolio. And
Okay.
as Arthur Martins was saying, that each and every page of your portfolio should be an artwork that you can hang on your wall. It should be that quality.
Hmm.
Like
Hmm.
even the sketches or the final renders, everything should be consistent. Like don't show your flaws. Like that's not what your portfolio should do.
Okay.
So that's a very strong thing I would recommend. And also like staying relevant on social media. It has Instagram has become like a second portfolio. Like
Yeah, that's true.
whenever they see a person's PDF
Hmm.
portfolio, they instantly go to Instagram. "Ah, have you seen this guy?" So like if their work is recognizable, they become like a preference. Like okay, I know this guy. He's consistent on his posts as well, so he can produce more work in small time. So that becomes like a selling point for the student.
And do you think portfolios should be arranged in a way where they show what what kind of job you want to prefer? For example,
Of
you
course,
started out as an exterior,
yeah.
so it should have mostly exterior projects or almost everything in
Well,
exterior as well. Like that.
funnily, in my portfolio, I till now, except for the company projects, I never had an exterior interior project. It has
Okay.
always been some sci-fi stuff, storytelling, scenarios, and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So luckily, at Polestar, they really loved that design language that I had in my portfolio, and they thought it really works with their company, and they wanted to experiment that in their products. So I was hired in that way, like not as a
Hmm.
exterior focused designer or interior focused designer. So I was hired like a guy who experiments stuff and sees what happens with what.
Yeah.
And when I applied at Canoo, I didn't mention them like if I'm applying for exterior or interior. I just sent my portfolio, and they were like,
Hmm.
"Your work suits for interior. Let's get you for interior."
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, for me, that has worked. So I don't know if I should recommend that to others also, because nowadays they are looking for stream focused portfolios, where if you are if you are happy doing exteriors, you should not show interiors, because if you get an interior job, you won't like what you're doing on an everyday
Yeah,
basis.
that's true.
For me, it's fine. Like I don't mind doing exterior, interior, bikes or cars, whatever. I just like designing. So for
Hmm.
me, my portfolio didn't have any focus on one product.
Hmm.
So like if someone enjoys bike design and they have exterior interior projects, it doesn't make sense. Like if they
Yeah.
want to target Harley Davidson or Ducati and they send their portfolio everywhere and they get a job in some Mahindra or Tata, which uh, want their skills for that, but personally that designer doesn't want to do cars. So it's like
Hmm.
injustice to both himself and the company too, because he won't be producing
Yeah.
good work and he'll
Yeah.
be suffering throughout the days. So yeah, I would strongly recommend like whatever assignments you have in institute, just finish those, somehow pass them. That's how I did, and just focus on what you want to do because you'll end up doing what you have in your portfolio.
That's true. And talking about these companies, I've seen a lot of time where if you're someone who has passion for doing exterior or interior, let's say, but you also have a strong hand in doing 3D modeling or visualization,
Yeah.
you all most of the time end up getting offers in 3D modeling,
Mm.
even though you want to explore more of exterior and interior.
Yeah. Yeah,
So how?
that's the thing I said, right? Yeah, if you put something that you're not interested in, they are gonna hire you for that. Like if they see that you have 3 pages of sketching and then you have 10 pages of viz work and 3D. So they will obviously think that you are more interested in doing 3D and visualization, which is
Yeah.
not what you want to show. So
Mhm.
focus on what you want to show, and then eventually the viewer will understand what do you want to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And talking about these things, most of the time that when I see a portfolio on Behance to get an inspiration or for reference to work on my own,
Mm,
I see one thing consistently is that they have sketches. Sometimes they have Photoshop sketches, and then they have 3D renders.
mm,
But apart from this, what do you think comes into a deeper role when it comes to a design process? Like when you start out with an idea
mm,
and how you can evolve it into a way where it can communicate with the person who is seeing this
mm.
without knowing your name at all.
I think nowadays what is selling the most is uniqueness and storytelling in a project. Like nowadays, basically anyone can do great sketching, great 3D modeling, great visualization. You just go on Instagram and you can see like hundreds of pages who have amazing renders. But what sets you apart is what is your process? Where do you take your inspiration from? How do you show your project in your portfolio? Like, try finding a unique way of your process, like taking inspiration from some other design industry, like fashion design or product design,
Hmm.
something that gives you a totally different result than uh, any normal process would do. Like, mm, many people are talking about using Viscom and stuff in their process. But the
Hmm.
problem that I have with these things is that okay, you get great results, but everything ends up looking the same for everyone.
Yeah.
So where do you draw a line? Like this is mine, this is yours, this is his. So how do you know this is your style, this is my style? So I would say like defining your own process is very important these days to stand out from all the portfolios because everyone is wherever you send a portfolio, there's like they do a quick scan of the pages. They don't read through or stuff. And if something catches their eye, then they stop and look at the portfolio. So
Hmm.
if everything looks the same from all the portfolios, why would they stop? So that's the thing, right? Just try to stand out, which is a difficult thing to do, but I think it's something very important these days.
And how do you think one should proceed with storytelling? Like, how do they combine it with the way of how students are being taught how to design?
Storytelling comes from a lot of ways. It also depends on the kind of project you're doing because
Hmm.
some students they start up with like one of the students in the portfolio review session had his brief was the car is on a alien planet, aliens are using it. Like he started off with a very out there brief, but then he ended up doing a very production like car. So we
Okay.
were like, why didn't you do what you were starting to do? Like, why didn't you see it through? Like, why did you break into this realistic looking car? Then he was like, that's how the things happen. But then if he had focused on the story he was creating, he would have ended up with a very unique looking thing. So
Hmm.
getting lost in the process is also a thing that happens where you start with an idea, but you get lost because you're looking at all these projects on Behance. You're looking on all these
Hmm.
projects on internet. Like this is the way this guy is doing, and he is doing good. So I should be doing that too. So that ends
Hmm.
up making you have a very different result than you were starting with.
Yeah.
So that storytelling comes from this unique idea that you started with, not with the
Hmm.
result of what you have. Like this, the beginning, how you carried it. That's the storytelling everyone looks for.
Nice. And when when let's say if you're a student and learning in college, and I start to incorporate this storytelling technique where I have my own version of how I will do my
Mm.
portfolio, the layout, the graphic design, the colors, and everything. So once I've done this and once the portfolio is ready, how should I get in touch with these companies? How should I make a connection? How should I communicate with them?
I would recommend even before you have completed your portfolio, start getting in touch with designers,
Hmm.
someone who is in line with your idea of what the feature should be.
Okay.
So, like if you send, like if you are interested in doing futuristic projects, like something that Canoo or Tesla or someone does, and then you send your portfolio to a designer from, let's say, Lamborghini or Alfa Romeo, they won't understand what you want to do,
Yeah.
and they will give you suggestions based on what they know, obviously. So choosing the right mentor is very important. Like who, like search for these individual people who you think are in line with your thought process and how you want to
Hmm.
design, and you think they would provide you the best reviews. So even before you finish your portfolio, start sending your stuff to these guys. Get in touch, and because it's kind of, I wouldn't say it's rude, but it's very it's not welcomed when a student just, I mean, obviously everyone does it, but when you send someone suddenly that I'm looking for a job, then it's like a cold email. No one has an The designer doesn't have an emotional attachment to you. So why would they
Yeah.
give their time to get you into their company? But
Yeah.
but if you had maintained a relationship with that designer and you sent like, okay, now I'm ready to apply. I did whatever you told me. I
Hmm.
applied your feedbacks. It's there. It's all there. So now this
Hmm.
designer would be emotionally engaged to get you there. He would
That's
he
true.
would uh, he would talk to his manager. He would make sure that he conveys that you're a hardworking guy. You listen to feedback. You do the changes. So this
Hmm.
emotional connection also goes a long way. That they go out of their way to get you there, which I don't think if you send it directly would do that. Someone would do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And this adds up to one of the things that a student should start to manage when they're in the middle of their studies.
Hmm.
Like apart from the what they study, apart from the assignments, the
Yeah,
homeworks, they have to start spending time in doing things that school doesn't normally teach, like how to get in touch, how
yeah.
to build a proper portfolio for yourself to show your own personal character, your personality. And one of the things that they struggle, even myself, I've struggled quite a lot, is how do I manage time into this? Because not everything that's university is teaching me is something that I want to show.
Hmm.
Like because they push equally to
Yeah,
everyone in all the
yeah,
directions. But how can I manage in what direction I want to go, and how can I manage my work as well as my portfolio?
yeah. I had the same trouble when I was in DSK. Um, uh, my projects were not what the professors and teachers wanted the students to do. And I
Hmm.
got a lot of backlash like, you won't get any job, you won't do this, you won't. be anywhere because of the kind of projects I was doing. But I was very how to say resistant to what I was doing, and I had a belief that um, I will get somewhere where I'm appreciated. Like I don't want to mold
Hmm.
myself for a company or for a trend or something. Eventually, there will be a studio which will appreciate what I'm doing, so I'm just gonna continue. So I had that resilience that helped me get through all this like backlash from the teachers that you won't get any job in India, forget about outside and stuff like that. But yeah, my how I dealt with that was I would just get passing marks for these assignments because obviously
Hmm.
you have to pass, you have to get grades and you have to get to the
Yeah.
next year. So just be in touch with these designers who are helping you on the side, which you don't tell your
Hmm.
teachers, you just do it on your own. And then
Hmm.
there's always one teacher who is helpful, who understands what you're
Yeah.
doing, and so recognize who that is. Stay in touch with them too, because they are on campus. They are with you all the time, and yeah, find a group of students who are like you, like who want to push themselves to get to another level. Because I know there
Hmm.
are many students who just are too casual. Like they're like they'll just go on parties and stuff, which is not bad. But uh, when you are trying to stand out, I feel personally it requires a next step of dedication where you have to get out of the bounds of some area.
Yeah.
So like surround yourself with such people who uh, help you do that. And yeah, just for these assignments, just get passing marks and do your own thing on the side. That's how I would recommend. Not the best recommendation, not the healthiest recommendation, but I'm sure this would help uh, the students because I know we get a lot of assignments that have no relation to the projects we want to do.
Yes.
It feels like a waste of time. But
Yeah.
if you do it on your minimum labor, but you do the work smartly, so that you kind of satisfy the teacher and also the assignment, but also it saves time for you to do the other stuff. And
Hmm.
being a workaholic also helps. Like if you work like 13, 14 hours a day, that also helps. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
would think so. Like, I think it needs a special kind of
Yes.
dedication to where you want to
Yeah.
be. For example, if let's say I have two projects, one for exterior and one for interior, and I want to be more into the exterior parts, so I would spend as less of a time in
Yeah.
interior just to give something, to have a little
Yeah.
feedback,
Exactly.
just a little positive
Yeah.
feedback, and spend more time in developing the
Yeah.
exterior.
The best thing to do is just do exactly what your professor or teacher wants you to do. Don't do anything extra. If you are doing
Mhm.
something you don't want to do, just read what your teacher wants you to finish, like those bullet points that they want in your project. Just focus on that, finish that, and then get into your personal project because uh, that's what they love to see. Like you have done what they asked you to do. So that's
Yeah,
it. That's the mantra to it.
no, I definitely
Yeah,
agree. And in between, you mentioned about Indian brands like Mahindra and Tata and how they deal with students and applicants that come and apply for them. Uh, One of the things that I've really wondered is the fact that in India we have only two automotive companies, Mahindra and Tata
mm,
themselves. Although like they're big and giant companies, they still face a little backlash when it comes to design compared to their European counterparts or Japanese or even
mm,
Americans. And recently they've started to set up their design studios here in Europe. They have in Italy, they have in UK, and they've started to gather some more international recruiters. But At the same time, we have seen what Hyundai is doing, what Toyota is doing. All of those brands, they have started to design special vehicles, special homologation vehicles for India. So, how do you think Mahindra and Tata or brands like this would start to compete with them? Not by putting the design studios in Europe, but in India itself.
I already feel Tata and Mahindra are doing really good because
Hmm.
the projects that are coming out these days, it's like a mixture of everyone's hard work. Even the UK studio or the Indian studio, they are working superbly with each other and doing these amazing projects like the Nexon and the XUVs and all that, the EVs, the Mahindra EVs, and a lot of seniors that I know who are really good at their job are in these companies right now. So I feel now it's a great time to join these companies. Like, even if you are joining
Hmm.
the Indian studio, it's awesome because for sure you get a chance to go to these out the remote studios like the satellite studios like the UK studio or whichever studio in Europe. So
Hmm.
uh, and once you get in, you will have a choice to be here or there. So I've seen many Renault designers who started in India but now they are in France. So
Yeah.
it's definitely awesome if you get a chance to start at these companies and eventually go to these satellite studios. But to sum up, I think they are doing really good job with the upcoming lineup and everything. And the design quality of Indian cars is going up, definitely.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to hear.
Yeah.
Because yeah, if you don't know, you have seen the new Tata
Hmm.
Safari, and my family has actually bought one,
Oh,
the
cool.
new
Yeah.
one, and I would say the experience have been
Yeah, yeah.
marvelous, like much better than what Tata used to
Yeah,
do 5 6
yeah,
years
like
ago.
there's no shame in joining these companies now. Like it's it's
Mhm.
they're doing such awesome job and so many known designers are working there. Good designers are working there. So if a student or anyone gets, if you're studying outside and you get an opportunity in India there, you should go for it
Mhm.
because it's definitely a good place to start and explore.
Perfect. And the other thing I wanted to ask is, as a student, I have this curiosity, and I believe many others do, to start exploring new stuff that immediately comes out in the field of design. Like a few years ago, we see an immediate rise in 3D modelers because of
Yeah.
Blender, and now we are seeing many people have started to use Gravity Sketch as well as some AI tools to work with their portfolios. My opinion is this. Uh, that AI and virtual reality, these are the tools that still have some length to
Mm.
go to become more mainstream and more future proof. But what has stayed so far is social media and how it has started to help students. So, what do you think the future would look like if there would be a combination of VR plus AI plus social media? And how can a student can cope with all of that?
Currently in the industry, in the companies, VR is only used for design reviews after the model 3D model of a proposal is being made. So I don't know how
Hmm.
VR is going to help the students. Usually, it helps when you are presenting it to a crowd or for your final presentation. Like you set up the VR stations and then you call uh, the jury members to come and look at your stuff. So I
Yeah,
think that becomes pretty limited to the physical space of where you are. But then
yeah.
AI is like you said, it's still far from being perfect. But for sure, many people are worried that it's gonna take the jobs and stuff. But my thinking is like the person who's using AI is gonna take your job, not AI is gonna take your job. So the person
Hmm.
who is using it right is gonna be the take the upper hand. So be aware of what's happening and keep using these things in your process. See if it works, like I said, for your storytelling. see it if it helps
Mm-hmm.
you. Like if you're not good at making scenarios, not good at making people or hand sketches and stuff like that, just use AI for that. Put your product in these
Mm-hmm.
AI made backgrounds and scenarios. So that's how it can help you in your process. So many students have these amazing visual ideas, but they're not able to convert those in 3D because they have to use Blender, make scenarios, make environments. It
Mm-hmm.
becomes too much. So maybe try using AI instead of using Blender if that helps you. And just tune it
Mm-hmm.
up to your taste, colors, and the painting style or whatever. So AI is something that definitely like start using and keep it in your process, in your skill set. And if it doesn't help you, it doesn't help you. Don't put it in your portfolio. It's not a must
Mm-hmm.
right now. So if it
Yeah.
helps you, put it in your portfolio and just tweak it in your style and make it your own. And yeah, social media, I would I would highly recommend to be active on social media. Keep posting your stuff. Be recognized within the community, and because that's how you get a lot of job offers. My Volkswagen internship offer was through Instagram in back in 2018. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the interior designers sent me uh, an offer by a DM, and I had never heard from anyone that they got job offer from Instagram. So I thought someone is joking with me. I didn't reply to that guy. So eventually, I got an email that I had messaged you on Instagram. This is an official thing. Let me know if you're interested. Then I was like, oh shit, this is real. So I would highly recommend like being active and keep sharing your vision of what you want, and you will eventually find people who are attracted to what you're doing. So that's a very important thing.
Right, right, right. And you have been like all across the genre of where car design have originated from the Japanese, European, the American, as we talked about
Hmm.
earlier. In my opinion, I've also seen a rise of privately owned or separated design studios that work individually rather than within the brand. So, how do you think is the experience between working in a studio and working in a company?
Uh, if you work in a company that has a lot of history, like Mercedes, BMW, Volvo, and these companies, they are very
Hmm.
strict with what designs they do. I mean, now because of EVs and stuff, they are exploring other things, but they still want to carry over the design language they've had, the recognizable design language they've had.
Hmm.
But if you are in a startup like Canoo or some new brand, then you have a liberty to explore a lot with shapes and design languages because they are not fixed to a, I mean, they are fixed, but it's not, it's more like a philosophical thing that they carry on more than a design language.
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's the difference between working in a big brand and a startup where it's the work culture and the philosophies that carry these companies. Because I'm sure, like, if you go to a company like Porsche and you try to do something very different instead of those frog headlights, they won't allow that. So it's their design language. It's what makes them recognizable. It's their history. So they won't be doing too much experimentation with that. So that's what makes difference between these new companies and the old companies.
Okay, and yeah, so that's about it. Like how what I wanted to know from you, from your
Awesome.
point of view, and to get your opinion on some things that matter to a
Mhm.
student. Apart from that, if you have anything to say to our audience who is mostly student based, what would you like to say?
I would just say that be fearless and be confident about your vision. And a lot of students complain that their counterparts or their teachers are not supporting their vision. But if you believe that what you're envisioning is going to be the future, stick to it, and eventually you'll find your way of, like I said, you will eventually find a workplace or a studio that appreciates what you're doing. So just stick to it and don't change yourself for the company or wherever you want to go. Just be true to yourself. That's what will get you the job in the end. The uniqueness that you have in your process. I think that's the main thing I would like to say.
Perfect. So it's like similar to what you were talking about, having to tell a story,
Yes.
like a personal story about who you are and how you think the
Yeah.
future would look like in
Yeah.
your scenario.
The personal touch is very important because, like I said, in every 10 students, eight out of 10 students are awesome sketchers and awesome render makers, but they don't have their personal touch in their portfolio, which would make them stand out.
Mhm.
So if you have that, you will be the one getting selected. So that's what everyone is looking for right now.
Well, that's true.
A unique personality. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. Thank you so much for having a conversation with
Sure.
me,
Yeah.
spending your time to talk about certain things that I felt would be more important to students. And yeah, with that, I would like to end this session with Rishav Kumar. Thank you so much for watching and see you
Thank
back
you.
next time.